And I think there are three categories, at least, of what to say yes to. One is customer value and customer delight. Secondly, outcomes in terms of code, in terms of code quality. And third, in terms of business value.
The more capable AI becomes, the more options and the more things we can do. But if we do all of those things, we could be in the wrong direction, or we could overwhelm our customer. So it's going to be really important that it's targeted. It doesn't mean leaders need to be the one discerning everything, but they need to be the ones ensuring discernment and the right direction is built into how the organization operates.
Somebody compare it to teenagers and sex. Teenagers always believe that everyone else is having way more sex than they are, and it's way better than theirs. This kind of analogy with AI. One of the truly innovative, amazing things that Agile introduced was the backlog. We believe is the highest value thing is the top of the backlog, and we want to do that chunk and then get feedback from our customers to determine whether we were right.
And in my mind, I don't think AI is going to change the fact that technology is built by people. It's built by teams of people. Those teams might look different, and the teams might be smaller or whatever, but still a people teaming framework that I think is going to be important.
Yes.
All right. Welcome. Thank you for joining today. I'm really excited about this topic. We've been talking a lot about AI. I mean, everyone's talking a lot about AI, but we don't talk a lot about leadership inside AI. Like, how do we lead with this new tool set and this new capability? And for me, it's really important because at Form 100 Consulting, we embed leaders into software development programs. We do it at the team and the program level, and we'll hire former military officers to do that. But when we talk about how do we manage and how do managers and leaders and directors, how do we actually handle this new capability? So when I thought about this event, there's only one person I wanted to have join me and have a conversation about how to lead in the age of AI, and that's Ron Lichty. So I've known Ron for, Ron's probably been close to 10 years, maybe five to 10 years. And he literally wrote the book on managing software development and technology. And so I have a copy of the first edition book here. It's Managing the Unmanageable. I keep it close to my desk all the time because when people are asking me, how do I do this management piece? This is the book I send them to. So Ron's been in various leadership positions, has done leadership coaching for technology organizations, and I'm really grateful to have this conversation. So Ron, thank you for joining me today.
It's always a delight to talk with you, Nate. And we should probably mention that we co-chaired a meetup on managing software teams in Seattle back in the pre-pandemic days.
Yeah, that was a ton of fun. We were doing it before COVID, and then COVID hit, and got it.
And suddenly we're doing it this way.
Yeah. So, but yeah, super excited to have you here, and I think we should just jump right into this. So, from your experience here, now that AI is out, like, what leadership aspects become, I guess, more important as AI becomes more capable?
So that's a really big question, Nate, and there are a whole bunch of answers to it, and so I want to start with a category of answers of which I think the one word that describes it is discernment. So leaders need to discern what to do. AI creates code at 10x or maybe even 100x what developers did, but customers don't have 10x or 100x more attention, and nor do we have 10x or 100x more customers as a result of just AI showing up. So we really need discernment regarding what to build, not just build everything, not just build 10x or 100x more, but really what to build. And one of the aspects of that has been one that leaders have always been called on to do, but have always found really difficult, Nate, and that's saying no.
Yes. No, not yes to your no, but yeah. I guess I fully agree. It's just because we can doesn't mean we should.
Yes. And I think there are three categories at least of what to say yes to. So one is customer value and customer delight. I think we really need to focus on outcomes. Secondly, on outcomes in terms of code, in terms of code quality, and third, in terms of business value. So,
Right.
we may be able to delight customers with something that they're not willing to pay for. So we really need to focus on those three things because and I'm going to come back to the code one. We need the code one because we need to be able to maintain it going forward. So I
Right.
think those three things are three good ones to use as qualifiers.
Well, right. And those, from my experience, those have always been really important.
Yes.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, right. And so your question was, what aspects of leadership become more important?
right.
And I think it's just the 10x, 100x thing that makes that suddenly, hopefully we've been doing this already, but boy, does it become important. And I,
Well,
and I,
right.
and I, and I want to characterize that I don't want to say no to experiments. And we have more opportunity to do experiments than ever before. The our and we have partly because our peers. So as an engineering manager, my peers in product management and our peers in the go-to-market side
Right.
are going to be vibe coding and doing their own experiments. And
Yes.
we need to not say no to experiments. We need to figure out a process for both vetting which ones of those are important and being able to move those forward through a process that makes them maintainable.
Yeah. I mean, and so I come from a flying background, and you can fly a Cessna plane, right? Or you can fly a jet. And the jet goes a lot faster. And you can get to the wrong direction a lot faster, right? I mean, it's more
Uh-huh.
catastrophic to go the wrong
Yeah.
direction when you're going really fast. And so I think what you're saying here is the more capable AI becomes, the more options and the more things we can do, right? There's more
Mhm.
ideas. Yeah, there's more people vibe coding. Hey, look at this new thing. I can do this and this and this and this. And but if we do all of those things, right,
Yes.
we could be in the wrong direction, or we could overwhelm the market. We could overwhelm our
Yes.
customer. We could so it's going to be really important that it's targeted. And
Right. Right. So it comes back to that word that I came up with at the top, which is discernment.
right.
We really need good discernment. And I
And
think customer empathy is a phrase that summarizes the customer side of that.
yeah,
I managed the team that was developing the UX of the Macintosh now several decades ago.
yeah,
But several decades ago, so I'll get specific in early 90s, and I was hiring not just for C++ stellar C++ coding ability, but also for customer empathy. And I don't hear this coming from a lot of my peers out in other companies, but 5 years from now, everyone will be hiring for customer empathy. And frankly, I don't, too little of it has occurred, not just in the next 5 years, but in the decades that have occurred since. But it's really important now.
yes. I mean, so a couple of things for leaders that it sounds like, what you're saying advice wise is the discernment piece, but it doesn't mean leaders. Well, I mean, maybe this is a question, or get your thoughts on it. It doesn't mean leaders need to be the one discerning everything, but they need to be the ones ensuring discernment and the right direction is built into how the organization operates, whether
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
or whether
yeah.
that's the
You,
CIO.
you, you and I were chatting before, but just before we turned this conversation on to everyone,
Yeah.
about Rich Mironoff having done a blog post at mironoff.com on shoulder to shoulder on
Yes.
VPs of engineering and VPs of product working shoulder to shoulder, working in lockstep with each other. That we need to be able to finish each other's sentences, be able to sing from the same hymn book, whatever metaphor you want to use. But
Yeah.
that discernment needs to be, we as leaders need to make sure that discernment is happening.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, I mean, that's such a great point, because AI is making things just move fast, right? Feedback cycles are getting a lot quicker. Decisions are going to be made faster. There's going to be more options, which can lead to more, in a lot of ways, can lead to more chaos, right? I mean, like, not knowing what to do because there's so many things to do is a skill set. And so I think, really building out an organizational muscle, the people that have that process already, I think, are going to do better.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Right.
Hopefully there's goodness going on already that you can extend. So discernment is number one. Number two for engineering leaders is downward, is to the team, is to their engineering organization. The ability to rethink the organization and how we incorporate AI tools into what are probably smaller teams, because those teams can go so fast.
Yeah.
And deciding where to effectively target the too scarce human attention. Um, uh, I wish, I think all of us are now wishing we had more senior engineering talent
Sure.
to do discernment regarding code that's being generated.
Yes. Right. Right. Well, I mean, obviously teams are going to, well, I don't want to say obviously, I don't even know, but it seems like teams are going to be smaller, right? And there's going to be more AI agents and more, automation doing things that people used to do. So, yeah. So I think what you're saying is it's almost like discernment again, which is where in the team do we need the critical pieces of human eyeballs?
Yeah, yeah. And then in looking down at their organizations, engineering leaders need to be creating culture and recognizing the challenges of how much change is going on right now.
Right.
And I had a leader once who said, people hate change, but they love progress. And it's like, okay, so now as leaders, we need to focus on the progress parts of the change so that people can
Yeah.
embrace it. And then we need to create a culture around resilience and around engineering quality and around effectiveness and around customer orientation. So there's a whole culture change that I
Right.
think AI really it drives us toward what we always should have been focusing on from a culture standpoint, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure we always were.
I think that's a great point. I mean, this is a really big change management exercise across all companies, regardless of tech, right? I mean, everyone's getting exposed to this. I've been saying we've been putting engineering ability in the hands of mere mortals like me, right, that don't know how to write code. So, so it is a huge change management piece, and it seems like we're moving in a weird way as the technology advances. We're getting more of the soft skills are becoming more important.
Yes. So, I think from a hiring standpoint, one of the characteristics that has always characterized great hires in engineering has been the
Yeah.
ability to communicate, the ability to communicate both verbally and in writing.
Yeah.
And and now that we're communicating verbally and in writing with AI, that's even more. It becomes even more to the fore.
Yeah.
So
No,
there's the internal stuff, and then I think as engineering leaders, we what becomes more important with AI. Some of us, maybe many of us, have had CEOs who come out of the go-to-market side
right.
and believe that the kind of metrics they use in sales and in marketing should be able to be applied to engineering. It's like, how many lines of code did you guys write? How
Right.
many, how much, and what's the volume? And so we've got vanity metrics demand coming from CEOs all too often that we as engineering leaders need to have an answer for, and need to be able to redirect into focusing back to discernment and focusing on customer outcomes and business outcomes.
No, absolutely. And every CEO goes to the same Gartner conference, and they're all, they all come out feeling like they're behind on AI and their company's gonna go away. And I've been even seeing this with different clients, and not just in tech companies, right? In manufacturing and services, and really almost across the board, where the CEOs will come up with these kind of arbitrary metrics for efficiency, right? Like what percentage of our code is written by AI? And
Or how many
Yeah.
tokens are developers using, or
Right.
so some nutso kind of if I just saw somebody compare it to teenagers and sex. Teenagers always believe that everyone else is having way more sex than they are, and it's way better than theirs. And CEOs have this have I think are having this kind of analogy with AI.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that is a memorable, analogy that I will not forget, especially with the teenage daughter. So,
Yeah.
but yes, it does feel like there's just a ton of FOMO out there, and so
Yeah.
I think I like what you said, which is outcomes based, right? Like we have to commute, and I like the word discernment. I think that's a great term, because it's what are we actually measuring? What are we actually focusing on from a delivery standpoint? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the one additional thing we need to always keep in mind, and always have needed to keep in mind, but given the speed of generation of code, it's even more important is ethics.
Right.
We need to make sure that what we're developing is good for the world.
Yes. Right. Well, and absolutely right. I mean, because there is a lot of capability, and I think on the ethics side, also like what we're building and what we're allowing AI to have access to, and then also from my perspective, really leaning in with a people first AI approach. And from our perspective, when we're doing implementations and we're helping organizations start to automate things, it's always in the lens of making people better at their jobs, and not replacing their jobs.
Right.
And for me, I think that's really important. And I feel like a lot of engineering or technology leaders in the CEO suite, especially, aren't really. They're almost hinting the other. They're almost saying, "Hey, you should learn to use AI, or you're going to be out of a job." And that I just don't think gives a great culture of people really leaning into this stuff.
It's a hard time.
Yeah. Well, and it's very, we because we met really, I think, at an Agile meetup, and
Yes.
and psychological safety for me was something I've always tried to build in the military when I was leading teams and doing missions. And that's a big part of basically the Agile principles and how we operate as a team. So where do you think the state of of Agile is when it comes to AI and how how is AI going to change the basics of Agile or the principles?
Yeah, so first of all, I don't think it changes it at all. So I think there are a bunch of processes that are based on Agile that, it's like having a 2-week sprint is maybe not the right thing anymore, with AI, where your
Right.
AI generates 2 weeks worth of code all in all in a half hour. But
Right.
the Agile Manifesto is about values and principles, and those values and principles, I think, hold true. The only in it's now more than 20 years since the Agile Manifesto, more than 25 actually, I think, then the Agile Manifesto was created, and the only thing that I have taken exception to is that the Agile Manifesto said, we need we're doing this to satisfy customers, and I think we're doing this to delight customers. And if I were going to change anything in the Agile Manifesto, it would be to change the word satisfy to the word delight.
Yes. No, that makes sense. And really, from my perspective, Agile's one of the reasons why I really fell into this world, the Agile world, was because I just love this idea of continual feedback loops.
Yes.
And there's a thing in the military called the OODA loop, and there's Deming's plan, do, check, act, check, act. That
Right.
it's not a new concept,
Right.
but applied to software development and technology, the idea of iterative delivery and feedback is really valuable, and I feel like it's going to be way more valuable with AI, because to your previous point, discernment's so important, and we're moving so much faster that building in the muscles and the muscle memory and the practices of communication and feedback is going to be just so much more important in my opinion.
One of the things I think we're seeing in too many companies is a return to waterfall. Actually, it's let's describe the whole thing that we want to build and have AI build that for us. What Agile suggested was let's work in tiny chunks.
Yep.
What's the most valuable thing what do we think is the most valuable thing for our customers and our business that we should build first? And I think one of the truly innovative, amazing things that Agile introduced was the backlog. You and I were talking about the ordered backlog earlier. Ordered backlogs ensure that what we believe is the highest value thing is the top of the backlog, and we want to do that chunk, and then get feedback from our customers to determine whether we were right.
Yep.
Whether we were right that was the most valuable thing, because we're not part of the time. And so there's that feedback loop, and the feedback loop is not build the whole thing and get some feedback on it, because at that point it's too much. It overwhelms customers. It doesn't give them the opportunity to give the kind of feedback that they can give. So I think working in tiny chunks and continuously testing signals against reality is just really important.
I mean, I can't agree more on the feedback piece, because partly Agile, when I first started, you would have a lot of organizations that would create these massive BRDs, right? The business requirement documents, and they would just spend months creating these huge things. And it was a huge time suck to create all those, right? And so some of the benefits of doing the Agile piece was like, we could just do this a lot faster. Let's just pick the one feature that's the most important thing. Let's iterate on it, get it out, because at least 50% of all of the BRD stuff wasn't valuable, right? And so part of the incentive of doing that was because it just saved a ton of time in creating these massive documents, right? now AI can create those massive documents pretty quickly,
Yeah,
right? But it doesn't relieve the 50% of that is crap that no one wants.
right.
And so I think that there's a risk people are going to go back into the waterfall mindset because they can quickly create all these things.
Right.
But that's not really the value. The value is figuring out what is the most important thing.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And having a culture of reorientation, of being able to reorient, being
Yes.
able to get feedback, being able to test signal against reality, and being able to reorient. And I think that's just incredibly important.
Yeah.
And so we need the agile practices of CI/CD, of continuous integration, continuous delivery, so that we get that feedback, so that we can get that feedback loop, the practices of test-driven development, so that we have tests that tell us, that now automatically tell us that we've written good code.
Yeah.
The built-in solid tests are core to increasing velocity with
Yeah.
with AI. And then I want to come back around to one more practice, which is, so I said backlogs. I thought were an amazing practice that Agile introduced. A second one of those was the definition of done.
Right.
The definition of done, what from an engineering perspective uh, uh, characterizes done for every single piece, every single small chunk of code, is so important, and it's so important now for convincing our peers and our boss that this isn't ready.
Right.
So we need that definition of done, just to say, hey, this is what the team has talked about this. The team has identified that this is what it takes to be, for a piece of code to be done, and to go into production, and to stay in production and be maintainable. And this thing you just vibe coded isn't. We need to we need to build it out. We need to productize it. We need to,
Right.
and that productization is a process that you may have created this in a half hour, and it may look good on your laptop, but throw it onto a server and put 2,000 people on it, or 10,000 or 100,000 people on it,
Right.
and that's different.
Yes. Yes. And so, I mean, I know we have a couple more questions I want to get to, and we're running short on time. But I always look at Agile as a teaming framework. And in my mind, I don't think AI is going to change the fact that technology is built by people. It's built by teams of people. Those teams might look different, and the teams might be smaller or whatever, but it's still a people teaming framework that I think is going to be important.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. One quick question, because I think this one's really important for engineering leaders, which is, what does great engineering talent look like in this new world?
Yeah. So one, our senior engineers are more important than ever, because not only do they need to vet the code that junior engineers are writing, but they need to vet the code that AI is delivering. And it's not just the code; it's the architecture and the design and the maintainability and the productability of all of that code. So
Right.
we may need a senior engineer for every couple of junior developers, as opposed to, every 4 or 5.
Yeah.
We've had ideal teams of 4 or 5 or 6 with a senior developer. It may be a senior developer per every couple. It just to make sure that the right choices are being made, and the right thing is being built, or the thing is being built right.
Right. And then, yeah.
Secondly, we do need, and there's been this whole conversation about junior developers not
Right.
being, we can throw away all of our junior developers, and I think that may have been reasonable 2 years ago, when AI was just introduced. not reasonable from the standpoint of where do we get senior developers if we don't have any junior developers? But 2 years later, 3 years later, we should be hiring junior developers who are just graduating from college because well, if you've ever had kids,
Yeah.
and you have kids and I have kids, you know that our kids come home from school and show us stuff on our phones, our laptops, our computers, our devices that they know how to do because they swim in a user
Yes.
group. They swim in classrooms full of other kids who are trying stuff, and they're all showing it to each other.
Right.
And the kids coming out of college right now, the junior developers coming out of college, don't have that wisdom to be able to identify, maintain, corporate maintainable for hundreds of thousands of people code, but they do have come out having swum in AI, and I think I think they are a really valuable addition to our teams.
That's a great point, because they are really what everyone wants to be AI native. Well, those kids are pretty AI native, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they've been on an island with a bunch of other kids learning AI. So
yeah. So then when we're hiring for our teams, we need to hire for writing ability. And as I said before, writing ability has always been a predictor of success for programmers. But we also need to hire for diversity of every kind, because we've got customers who are diverse of every kind, and that diversity gives us clarity comes out of disagreement.
yes.
And
Yes.
and so diversity, I'm not just talking about, racial or religious but people with different opinions about what good code looks like is a good thing. There's some diversity.
Right. And that breeds discernment.
Yes.
Right. In a lot of ways. So, hey, Ron,
and then one more thing, which is I think we need more product managers.
Yes. Well, and that role is going to change, right?
Yes.
And so,
if we can create code at 10x or 100x, we need clarity coming to the engineering side.
And we need leadership in those roles, and we need leaders at the team level more so as things get more chaotic.
Yes.
Something I've been saying for a while.
Yes.
I know we're a little bit over on our live stream time, which I think is okay. But I do want to let you just kind of wrap it up with, like, what is the one thing you want engineering leaders to take away from this conversation?
I'd say it's not about the technology, it's about the people. And you have said that multiple times, but I want to make sure that I say it. It's not about the technology, it's about the people and the outcomes.
Yep.
And it's about empathy for our customers and empathy for our people.
And it's and I guess just to follow up on that, it's a little bit weird how, as we get more and more technologically advanced, it becomes more and more important, the team culture and the aspects of communication and alignment and process. All of those things now become the real accelerant of the actual technology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with the speed of change that's happening for our people,
right,
we need to help them through that.
Gotcha. Well, hey, Ron, this has been an amazing conversation. I would have had this conversation not recorded, but I said let's just record it because it's fun. All right, so
yeah, it is.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this for us. And again, if you're struggling as a leader, Managing the Unmanageable, look that up, get that book. And thanks to everyone out there for watching. Appreciate everyone's time.